Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Um, we'll come back to that in a minute. Hope you've all had a good week. I'll start with a message that I got on YouTube. Thanks to JK, our Ginger Ninja. I had a message through, well, not a message, but a comment on the last video from Goraphobe. I've no idea what your name is, mate, so if you can message that over to me, I like using people's names. What it says is, just subbed, heard about you from Ninja. I'll help get your channel out there. That's really very much appreciated, mate. As I've said before, I think what I do here has got a kind of a limited appeal. It's only really relevant to people that have joined the Facebook group. Which if you would like to do that, please feel free to pop over and join. You will of course be accepted immediately. I think you'll enjoy it. It's just lively banter about movies, TV, music, all that kind of thing. We have a great time. I actually think it's one of the best movie groups on the internet. And we've got a great bunch of people. We're all very friendly. So if you want to pop over and join, please feel free. And as I say, it is only really relevant to people that have joined the group because the things that I do, like reading comments out, answering people's questions, a lot of people like to put names to the faces of the people that I'm chatting about. But if you think you can get it out there, and people will enjoy it, you knock yourself out. I really appreciate it, mate. You've left me a few comments here. I love Forrest Gump. It's hard to imagine, but a lot of people that I've talked to don't like it actually, and I don't get that at all. I thought it was a brilliant movie. Tom Hanks was superb in that. Oh, the screen's gone dead. Just bear with me. I think this is going to happen a bit every now and then. It's a new system, and I've not managed to set it up properly yet. So every now and then I'm just going to have to move the mouse and just keep it going. So yeah, Forrest Gump, absolute classic. Yes, Martin Scorsese did The Wolf of Wall Street. He's definitely one of the greats. He absolutely is. I've seen a lot of his films, and everyone that I've ever seen I've absolutely completely enjoyed. Yeah, one of the classics. Coming back to that in a minute. My top 10 list would probably involve Rocky, The Godfather on Golden Pond. I haven't heard of that one for years. I went to see that at Burton Odeon when it came out. Absolutely loved it. Henry Fonda, Catherine Hepburn, Dabney Coleman and Jane Fonda. Superb movie. I haven't seen it for a long time. I would love to see that again. Almost Famous. Is this the one about the teenager that follows the rock band on tour? Yes, I think I've seen it a long time ago. Gangs of New York, only saw that for the first time probably a year or two back. Absolutely loved it. Brilliant movie. A Clockwork Orange, one of my all-time favourites, as you will find out a little bit later on. I absolutely love A Clockwork Orange ever since the first time I saw it. I love so many films that I probably end up having 20 or 30 films in my top 10 of all time. I'm the same. It is really difficult to narrow it down to 10. I've sorted out a top 10 to show off to somebody a little bit later on, but I could have gone to 20, 30, 40. So it's a difficult thing to do. I get that. Betty Davis was great. I'm actually a big Norma Shearer fan. She's very underrated nowadays. I love the women. Do you know what? I'd never heard of Norma Shearer, so I actually went on to Wikipedia to find out a bit about her. Supposedly a very good actress. She married Irving Thalberg, who was one of the executives at MGM. She disappeared from the public probably about 1942 or something like that. Not been seen a whole lot since. I've actually ordered a book. I love a good movie style biography. I've ordered a book based on her life, which I'm going to be hopefully getting through sometime next week. So I'll show that off on next week's video if it comes through. But yeah, I love discovering new actors, actresses, movies. You know, I love it when people introduce me to things like that. So yeah, keep going, mate. Absolutely. Mommy Dearest is a good film, and I know that Joan Crawford had her issues, but I think a lot of what Christina said about her was spite and just spicing it up to sell her book. I'm fairly sure it was. It was very sensationalist. I have got the book and I have read it. It is pretty close to the film, or should I say, the film is close to the book. Um, but I do find it hard to believe that she could have been that obnoxious. So yeah, I'm fairly sure you're right about that. It was basically done to help sell the book and the film. It was messed up to write all of that about her after she had died and couldn't defend herself, but that's just my opinion. Mildred Pierce is actually another one of my all-time favourites. Classic Joan Crawford movie, absolutely brilliant. Seen it a couple of times, really, really love it. My three favourite Hitchcock films are actually Rope, Strangers on a Train, and Shadow of a Doubt, but I like most of them. Great vid. Thanks ever so much, mate. Much appreciated. Those three Hitchcock films, everybody, including me, usually goes for like Psycho, The Birds, Frenzy, that kind of thing. So to see those listed as favourites, that's good to me. Rope, cracking movie. Is this the one that was done all in one take? Strangers on a Train, brilliant. Seen that a couple of times. Shadow of a Doubt, I'm not familiar with. I've heard of it, but I've not seen it. But I'll add that to my watch list. So I'll be taking a look at that. So thanks ever so much for that. As I say, just drop me a message and tell me what your name is, so I can actually put you on the list with a name rather than agoraphobe. But thanks ever so much for what you've said, mate. And if you can get the videos out there, that's appreciated. But I do get that it's of limited appeal, let's say. But good to hear from you, mate, and look forward to hearing from you again. Right, okay. Taxi Driver. I think we all agree that this is a stone cold classic, a brilliant movie directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Robert De Niro, Jodie Foster, Sybil Shepherd, Albert Brooks, amongst others. Just total brilliance. I think we all agree it is an absolute classic. Actually, no, we don't. I recommended this movie to Callum, who joined us a few weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I'll take a look at that." So we watch this, and he comes up to me, probably one day last week, a great big toothy grin on his face, and says, "Tone, I watched Taxi Driver." Shit. Now, to give this some context, I was standing with, at the time, my colleague Donna. We were talking movies at the time when Callum came up to us, and she said after he'd gone, she said, "I honestly thought he was going to say, 'Shit, what a movie, absolutely brilliant.'" But it wasn't. It was just shit. He didn't like it at all. This was his letterbox review. And before we all start gathering outside his house with pitchforks threatening to burn his haystacks down, we've all got opinions on this. I did think the cinematography was pretty great. So we get the positives out of the way first. But this film was just boring as fuck. What? I had zero interest in Robert De Niro's character Travis and no interest with the story itself. I could barely finish the film. Not overly impressed then. Pretty overrated and very dated. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I don't know. I don't think you were missing anything, mate. I just think that is obviously your opinion. You didn't enjoy it. As somebody said to me earlier in the week, I think it's probably a generational thing. To have been around in sort of the late 70s when I first became familiar with Taxi Driver, it was groundbreaking at the time. The subject matter was as controversial as hell. And as for the violence in the last, 5-10 minutes, wow. We'd not seen anything quite like that at the time. It was as raw as hell. But to watch it now, it's like anything. You get decades go past, and don't forget, Taxi Driver is nearly 50 years old. It's an old film. But what you have to do is imagine yourself 50 years ago, when probably the most violent thing you could watch would be some sort of a Hammer horror or The Exorcist was about back then. That was also another groundbreaker. So we kind of made inroads towards sort of controversial movies and this, that, and the other. The early 70s were just brilliant for scandal movies, as you'll find out later. But I do totally get it. Honestly, it is not to everybody's taste. Everybody from a certain generation will say that Taxi Driver is just an absolute masterpiece, including me. And I've seen it many times. It's not put me off recommending 70s movies to you, because I get the feeling there are certain ones, if I hit the right spot, that will just land right with you. One that I would recommend, and I'm probably going to regret this, Midnight Express. Made in 1978, it's the story of a young American guy who goes to Turkey and tries to smuggle a small amount of hash through customs, and basically ends up in the most horrendous jail with no way of getting out. It is one of the most upsetting films I think I've ever seen. It's certainly violent. It is nasty, nasty stuff. But again, whether it will land right with you is another matter. But I would like you to take that one on at some point and tell me what you think of that. It is brutal, but by today's standards, I don't know. I dread to think what they would do with it if they tried to remake it now. Midnight Express in the 2020s. Wow. I hope they don't, because there's nothing wrong with the original. But I didn't see that one coming, I have to admit. I honestly thought, like Donna, I thought you were going to say, shit, what a movie. But no, it was just shit. So you asked me what my well, you comment a bit later. We'll come back to that. Some more comments, then we'll come back to Callum. David Mansell. Morning, mate. What are some of your favourite David Lynch films? As you all know, we lost David Lynch this week. His filmography was not huge, and I've seen a lot of them. But he's asking me what my favourite David Lynch films were. The Elephant Man comes basically top of pretty much everybody's list. Absolutely brilliant movie. Anthony Hopkins and John Hurt as can't remember his name. You'd know if you've seen it. Blue Velvet, which was just out there, absolutely brilliant. Dennis Hopper, just mad as a box of frogs, but brilliant, totally brilliant. Wild at Heart. This is one that doesn't get talked about very much. This is Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern in a kind of a precursor to Natural Born Killers, that kind of thing. I really, really enjoyed Wild at Heart, and I believe it had Wicked Game by Chris Isaak on the soundtrack, which sounded amazing. That's one that I wouldn't mind watching again. But there are several movies that I've got that I've not had a chance to watch yet, that I've never seen before, and I intend taking them in. Eraserhead is one. That was his debut feature, which apparently is as nasty as hell, but I'll find out when I watch it. Mulholland Drive, which I got bought for Christmas on 4K this year. Now, I've heard a lot about this one, and it is definitely one that I want to watch. Lost Highway. Don't know much about it, but it's got very, very great sort of critical acclaim. Even the the people that normally knock David Lynch quite enjoyed Lost Highway, so that's one that I wouldn't mind taking in. And one called The Straight Story, about a guy that goes across country in America on a tractor to visit a friend who is dying, I believe. The idea of that just sounds utterly charming, so I'm going to be taking that one in for sure. But that is pretty much my list of David Lynch films. I just thought the visuals in his films are amazing. Twin Peaks I've never seen. I'm ashamed to say I've never seen Twin Peaks. I used to work with a couple of guys at work that used to watch it, and they were constantly on about it, saying it's just weird as hell and don't get it in this and that. It kind of put me off. But now, sort of 30 years on, I wouldn't mind taking a look at that. So yeah, shame about David Lynch. Dune, of course. My God, Sting in his was it Sting in his space underpants? Never seen anything quite like that before. But yeah, sadly missed. Right, back to Callum. Hi Tony, great video. You asked for my top 10 worst movies, so here they are, in no particular order. Top of that list was this one. We're off Taxi Driver. Forget Taxi Driver. 65. Was very excited for this, but it disappointed me so much. I was looking at that on, is it Netflix or Prime that it's on? This is Adam Driver versus dinosaurs on a planet, isn't it? On Earth, 65 million years ago. I wouldn't mind taking a look at this, but I get the feeling I'm going to be like you. It's going to be one of those, oh God, is that it? Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Got terrible reviews, awful reviews when it first came out. This is the one that was supposed to round off the current trilogy of Star Wars, none of which I've seen. The only one of the new batch that I've seen is The Force Awakens. And the prequel trilogy, I think the only one I've seen of those was The Phantom Menace. But I have seen the original trilogy many, many times. But I would love to go back to the beginning and start with Star Wars: A New Hope and watch them all sort of in chronological order. Pulp Fiction, overrated. Oh my God, you like Living Dangerously, don't you? Pulp Fiction, overrated. I haven't seen it for a while. I do remember enjoying it when it first hit DVD. My personal favourite Tarantino film would have to be Reservoir Dogs, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was very, very good. Pulp Fiction was good. I enjoyed it. I remember it being a bit sort of into the future, then back a bit, and it was kind of all over the place. But it was good. I enjoyed it. Madam Web. Oh God, I was listening to a podcast on this. 3-4 days ago. It has not done particularly well, and the critics hated it. Absolutely hated it. Many people have said it's just complete and utter rubbish, which makes me want to watch it even more, surprisingly enough. So I will be taking Madam Web in at some point. The Rebel Moon films, don't know much about them. I remember seeing them landing on Netflix probably middle of last year, watching the trailer and thinking, that actually looks quite good. But again, the reviews for that were mixed. Some said it were brilliant, some said they were crap. So Jurassic World Dominion, oh, don't start me on that one. I've been threatening to watch this one for so long. It's the only one of the Jurassic World series of movies that I've not yet seen. And I believe Jason said that by the time he gets to watch it, it will have been on TV, and it has. So Nostradamus, your prediction has come true. But I will take it in at some point. It's on the watch list for this month, actually. Red One. Some loved it, some hated it. I never got the chance to actually watch that one. It looked like my kind of film, actually, but I didn't get a chance to watch it, and I'm going to save it now till Christmas. The Platform. This is one I've not heard of. I need to look into this one. The Human Centipede. I wouldn't watch The Human Centipede for anything. I've gone on record so many times saying this. I've lost count of how many times. We used to have a thread ages ago, Cal, called Challenge Tony, and people used to challenge me to watch movies that take me completely out of my comfort zone. These guys know the kind of movies I like, and they know the kind of things that I probably would not like. And The Human Centipede came up quite a few times. And it's one that I actually flatly refuse to watch because the idea is totally revolting, completely. It just makes me feel nauseous just to think of it. I know it's been sort of gratefully received within the horror community. A lot of people love it. They say it's a great sort of innovative piece of horror. Not for me, it isn't. It just sounds completely horrible. It is not a movie I can ever see myself watching, unless I've got absolutely nothing to talk about one week, and I think I'll just watch Human Centipede for the hell of it, and then I can just tell everybody what I already know, is that it's a vile piece of entertainment. But I know a lot of people like it. So thanks for that, mate. And you asked me what my top 10 films were. So guys, you've already seen this. So just talk among yourselves for a minute while I just show Callum very quickly my roughly my top 10. And there are many more than this. But I've sorted out probably my top 10. There are many more. I will sort out more over the coming weeks. If there are any that you would like to see me show, as in my favourite top 5 horror films, comedies, or from a certain director or actor, just let me know. But I will take it upon myself to sort out another 3 or 4 next week. But to start these off, these are in no particular order, by the way. Kingdom of the Spiders. I was talking about this the other day. Absolutely brilliant animal attack movie from 1977, starring the brilliant William Shatner. As I've said before, the thing that makes this movie stand out for me is there is no CGI in this at all. If they remade this or any kind of spider movie, which there've been one or two out over the last probably year. Infested was just horrifying. As far as arachnophobes goes, that was a nightmare. Sting, that was quite good. But this, there are no CGI effects or special effects or anything in this. When you see somebody literally covered from head to toe in tarantulas, they are literally covered from head to toe in tarantulas, and it just makes my skin crawl every time I watch it. But I absolutely love it. That's Kingdom of the Spiders. Next one, Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze. Before we had Superman in 1978, which kind of kick-started the sort of superhero thing, we had this guy, Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze, played by Ron Ely, who was television's Tarzan in the 60s. I absolutely love this. This did the rounds in 1978 with a movie called Warlords of Atlantis, which is another of my all-time favourites, from the same stable as The Land That Time Forgot, At the Earth's Core, that kind of thing. This was just magic to me. I used to go and see this double bill once or twice a week when it was out. Absolutely loved it. Loved both movies. I've never got bored of them. I watched this probably about 6 months ago. To me, it's superb. Callum, you would hate that. Absolutely hate that one. Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy, made in 1968, starring Jane Fonda. This was quite daring back in its day, but again, you're going back 60 years plus nearly. Absolutely brilliant, just a space kind of adventure. Yes, the special effects nowadays would look a little bit ropey, but back then I would imagine they were state of the art. If you've ever seen Flash Gordon from 1980, it was, I believe, the same director, and you can tell because the space scenes and the flying scenes and all that sort of thing were done basically in this first before that. But I love Barbarella, always love Barbarella. The soundtrack is superb. The movie itself is colourful, bright, trippy, brilliant. Next one. This is one of the three gangster films, British gangster films that I absolutely adore. The other two being Mona Lisa and The Long Good Friday. This is the one I think that started it all. Get Carter, starring Michael Caine. Just superb. Caine plays Jack Carter, who comes from London to Newcastle to investigate the suspicious death of his brother and to find out who murdered him. Just one of the finest, not so much British gangster films, British films of all time. Made in 1971, so this is what you would class as really, really dated. But to me, this is just pure magic. This is one of the most unpleasant films I think I've ever sat through. It still stands as one of my favourites, but to watch it in 1979 when it first came out, it was a tough watch, and it is still a tough watch now. Scum. This is one of Ray Winstone's early movies. It also stars sort of Phil Daniels, Ray Burdiss, a lot of young actors who were going to make it big sort of within the following few years. This is set in a British borstal. It was originally a TV play on the BBC around about 1977 or 76. It was banned by the BBC before it was even screened. It was only screened for the first time probably about 20 years ago. This is a nasty film. If there was ever a movie made that would put young people off a life of crime, this is it, because the conditions in this place and the treatment that they sort of suffered at the hands of the guards and this, that and the other, it was just horrifying. If I had to pick a movie that I think you would probably enjoy, a British movie, a violent movie, a raw movie, I would probably go for Scum. As I say, 1979, it was nasty, and I still think it's nasty now. Next one, Midnight Cowboy. This isn't even out the cellophane yet. Dustin Hoffman and John Voight. John Voight plays a country hick who goes to New York to make his fortune, makes friends with Dustin Hoffman, It's just a wonderful movie. It's wonderful from the minute you hear the opening theme tune, which is Everybody's Talking, which I think was covered by the Beautiful South in the 2000s. But the soundtrack to this, John Barry, absolutely brilliant. Um, Highly recommended. 1969. Not your kind of thing, Callum, but definitely mine. Next one. Now we're getting to the classics. The Godfather trilogy. As I say, gangster movies really came into their own around about 1971. We got Get Carter, as you've just seen. This was the American sort of reply to that as such. The Godfather, basically the story of a mafia family. Just brilliant. Marlon Brando, what's his name? Not Dustin Hoffman. Al Pacino, James Caan. Absolutely brilliant. It's a long film. It's about 2 3/4 hours long, but it grips you from the very first scene. I remember watching this one Christmas late at night and coming away from it thinking, God, that was horrible. But really, really good. Next one. God, if we're talking screen violence, this courted some controversy at the time. Ken Russell's The Devils. Basically the story of a witch hunt in the French city of Loudun, I believe. This is as violent as hell. Ken Russell came in for so much flack concerning this movie. The violence, the sex, it was just wild, absolutely wild. This is another one that was made in 1971. Oliver Reed, Vanessa Redgrave, absolutely amazing movie. I think Mark Kermode said that if you didn't feel like you'd been run over by a truck when you've watched The Devils, then you didn't watch it properly. And I tend to agree with that. There are scenes in that I still find pretty difficult to watch. That's The Devils. Straw Dogs. The ultimate and probably the first home invasion movie. Another one made in 1971. 1971 was a really good year for what you would class as scandal movies. And this one, Straw Dogs, it really, really upset people at the time. Even the author of the book upon which this is based distanced himself from it because he felt there was way too much mayhem going on. This was just an amazing movie. It's 2 hours, directed by Sam Peckinpah, who also made The Wild Bunch, The Getaway, some other what was that western he did? Can't remember. But he was notorious for directing controversial, violent movies, and this to me was one of the best. It's a dark film. It's one of those that you don't want to go into when you're on a downer, because you will absolutely be on a complete downer by the time you finish this one. But it's just an amazing movie. Straw Dogs. Another one from 1971, A Clockwork Orange. I love this film. I think it was mentioned earlier, Agoraphobe brought it up. I absolutely love A Clockwork Orange from the minute I set eyes on it, on a sort of a 10th generation VHS copy. You couldn't get this for love nor money when the thing was banned. It was banned how many years ago? I think it was banned in 1971, but it wasn't the critics that banned it. It was Kubrick himself. How it happened was, I think his family received this rather unfortunate letter threatening violence to his family unless the film was withdrawn from distribution. And Kubrick was so powerful with Warner Brothers at the time that they actually agreed to do it. So for many, many years, this was not even seen. But I loved it, absolutely loved it. I got hold of a sort of a third generation VHS copy that was as ropey as hell, but I still loved it, absolutely adored it, and I still do. I haven't seen it for quite a while. I'm due to have another go at that. And my two favourites, I've only got about a minute left, so I'm going to rattle through these quickly because these guys know what these are. Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta as the paint shop worker who makes his money and then blows it all down at 2001, the disco, a club as we would call it now, on a Saturday night. This is not the cute little disco movie that people think it is. This is a fairly nasty take on what life was like in 1970s Brooklyn. The swearing is through the roof. Um, it's just raw as hell. Directed by Robert Stigwood, I believe. I love this. The soundtrack is amazing. The Bee Gees, all those disco hits, can't go wrong. And my favourite of all time, you guys will already know this, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the ultimate UFO movie directed by Steven Spielberg in 1977. Love this from the first time I saw it. I think it played Burton Odeon for about 3 weeks, and in those 3 weeks I saw it about 15 times. I could not get enough of this. I absolutely adore it. It would be considered quite slow nowadays, but I absolutely love it. The build up to the last 20 minutes, which is absolutely stunning, by the way, is just amazing. So that is my number one favourite film of all time. That will never change. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'm fairly sure that in 2027, which will be its 50th anniversary, they will re-release it in the cinemas, and this is probably one film that I will actually go and see on the big screen, because I would love to see this on the big screen again. Favourite movie ever, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And that is my top 10, Cal. So, right, thanks for all that, mate. Much appreciated. And thanks for stirring up some very lively discussion on Taxi Driver. That's much appreciated. It's what we're like. It's what we do at the Retro Movie Zone. We just encourage people, to express opinions. And some of them are popular and some of them are not. But that's what we do. So you keep them coming, mate. And the reviews, really loving them. So, right, I'm going to take a quick break for a couple of seconds. I'll be back any second. Right, thanks for all that, Cal. Much appreciated, mate. And your top 10 worst films. I hope you enjoyed my top 10 movies of all time. As I say, keep the reviews coming. Please don't be afraid to express an opinion. None of these lot will, I promise you that. Right, moving on. Gareth. Morning, Gareth. Maximum Overdrive, we were talking about this last week, I think, was remade as a TV movie called Trucks in 1997. I remember seeing that on Amazon or something like that years and years ago and thinking, that looks like Maximum Overdrive. I didn't realise it was actually a remake of it. I'll try to track that one down. Was it any good? Let me know on that one. Good to hear from you, Gareth. Always good to hear from you. Roy. Morning, Roy. Morning, Tony. All right, mate. glad you've decided on no more Sam Smith chat. Hope nobody brings him up again. Oops. I've got nothing more to say on Sam Smith that I haven't already said. He's a knob. That's my final word. I'm not talking about Sam Smith again, unless somebody else brings him up and tells me something else. Another complete load of old bollocks that's come out with. I used to come to the Michael Reeves box set. I did. I couldn't resist it for $11.99. Roy, really? Two great films and one terrible one, in my opinion. Castle of the Living Dead was so boring, even with Christopher Lee and Donald Sutherland in it. I've already got Witchfinder General and I've already got The Sorcerers. It wasn't that I bought it for. It was that documentary which I've been itching to see. I couldn't find it anywhere else. So I thought, you're going to have to bite the bullet, even though you've got the other two, just to watch the documentary. So yeah, that was pretty much the only reason I bought it. But I'm looking forward to watching Castle of the Living Dead. But the title pretty much tells me everything that I need to know about that one. So I think we need to replace your mug with a plastic one with a lid on it to make it Tony-proof. You mean like a sippy cup? It was a bit unfortunate last week. Last week was just the most unfortunate experience as far as recording these goes. It was a bad one. It's been a very long time since I'd felt the need to delete basically the whole recording, because it was awful. Everything was pretty much going wrong last week, and I'll tell you what I put it down to. I've not mentioned this before. Somebody recommended a movie to me called Antrim, the deadliest movie ever made. It is supposed to be a cursed film. Everybody that watches it apparently suffers some kind of horrible misfortune. There have been deaths involved with the screening of this film. Um, and I decided to give it a look. Now, call me superstitious and call me a bit daft and old, but the Sunday after watching that movie, I watched it on Saturday afternoon. Basically, it was horrible. Everything was going wrong. The recording of this was just tragic. And then I rounded it off, like I said, tipping a mug of tea all over myself. And you come to a point where you just think, you know what, fuck this. This is not going well. I'm going to abandon it. And the rest of the day went pretty much the same. I did re-record it, as you saw yesterday, but it just seemed odd to me that I'd not had a Sunday like that in a long, long time, and it came the day after watching this supposedly cursed film. And I know you're all going to be screaming at me going, you fucking old idiot, but that's how it came across. Monday was fine, absolutely fine. As for the film itself, I'll do a little review of it later on if I think on. It wasn't the best, it really, really wasn't. But we'll come back to that. But that I think is probably the reason why Sunday was such a horrible day, and not just the recording of this. The rest of the day went pretty crap as well. So thank you, Antrim, for that. Good to hear from you, Roy, mate. Stuart, talking of the jazz singer, the version starring Neil Diamond, it's always been a guilty pleasure of mine. It's been one of mine as well. I absolutely love that film. And the soundtrack is freaking amazing, which it is. Still got it on vinyl upstairs. I keep meaning to upgrade it to a CD. But I must do that sometime. But I would love to see the jazz singer again. It's been a while. That was another one I saw back in 1980 at Burton Odeon. Saw it a couple of times, just loved it. Following the death of David Lynch, R.I.P., he directed one of my favourite movies ever. The Elephant Man is so incredibly moving and heartwarming in parts and dark. It's a powerful movie, and going on record here by saying it's got one of my favourite movie performances from an actor, Anthony Hopkins. He's so sublime as Dr. Frederick Treves. What's your favourite David Lynch film? I would have to say The Elephant Man. Certainly at the time when it came out, it was, I would say it's his most mainstream film. All his other movies have been sort of really out there and weird, and the visuals have been sort of strange. But I love them. But the second favourite would have to be Blue Velvet. Absolutely love Blue Velvet because of Dennis Hopper, who is just fucking batshit crazy in that. So yeah, that would be my favourite David Lynch film, The Elephant Man, closely followed by I would say Blue Velvet. The rest of them I need to take a look at, as I said earlier. His filmography is not massive, so I shouldn't have too much trouble catching up with the Lynch film. So thanks for that, Stuart. Much appreciated, mate. Steve Matt, morning, Steve, our Criterion guy. Tony, what are they going to call white pudding? Light pudding? They have to be consistent. No, we're just going to keep calling them what we call them. I am not going to change on this one. It's an absolute complete load of rubbish. I will keep referring to black pudding as black pudding. I don't even know what light pudding is. What is that? White pudding. It's, I can't get started on this today. I need to have a proper rant about all the. You know how I feel about PC behaviour and woke nonsense. It's a complete crock of shit, and it is. So no, Steve, we're not going to be referring to white pudding as light pudding. I certainly won't be. There's a Blu-ray of 7-Up, which has all of the programmes. I have it in my collection. I didn't know that. I'll have to have a look for that. Your Jimbo Sanjuro come as a double feature. BFI are doing a 4K release, and I covered them in Let's Talk Criterion a couple of weeks ago, which I haven't caught up with yet. But I'm curious about your Jimbo. Basically, now that I know it's a sort of a remake of is it A Fistful of Dollars? So thanks for that, Steve, much appreciated, mate, and keep calling puddings what you want to call them. They're the fucking puddings. Sam, morning Sam, good morning Tony, great video as always, mate, cheers Sam. Love King of New York, one of my best first time watches of last year, a pretty underrated gangster film. I've really been turned on to this one. It's on Prime at the moment, free, so I may just take a look at that. I love Christopher Walken. Peter Capaldi is awesome as the Doctor. My favourite episode with him is Heaven Sent. Stunning episode with the Doctor just by himself in the episode, and such a wonderful mind-bending story. That's what kind of puts me off them. Ever since we come on to sort of the Matt Smith era, um, the stories have been really, really strange. I got to a point where I didn't understand half of them, which is why I was kind of put off them, and I stopped kind of watching it after that. The two-parter from Capaldi's final season with the Mondasian Cybermen is amazing as well. Now that sounds intriguing, and it sounds like I'm going to be able to follow it, so I might look that one up. Absolutely devastating news about David Lynch. It's all David Lynch this week, isn't it? One of my favourite directors who made one of my favourite films of all time, Blue Velvet. Rewatched it the other night and it's magnificent. Love the chemistry between Kyle MacLachlan, Laura Dern, and also Dennis Hopper plays such a mean-spirited antagonist in it. Brilliantly well acted. A superb movie, Sam. Absolutely brilliant. I rewatched Elephant Man the other night, Tony. First time seeing it in over a decade. Still fantastic, yet deeply moving as ever. John Hurt, Anthony Hopkins, both superb in it. Could not agree more. Tyneside Cinema are showing Mulholland Drive in February. Only seen it the once, so it's about the right time to revisit it. You'll have to let me know what you think of that. I've got the 4K. I think Rob bought it me for Christmas, so I need to have a look at that for sure. Tony, I can't believe I started out on YouTube a year ago now. Certainly doesn't feel like it. I hope to do some more reviews, rankings, also music related videos and collection updates this year. I definitely want to finally get around to doing my video about my trip to New York City last year as well. Really looking forward to that one, Sam. Whiplash is amazing, Tone. One of my favourite films ever. Superb performances, great sound design, production, lighting, direction, music, etc. I need to check out Babylon from Damien Chazelle. Have you seen it, bud? No, I haven't. I don't even know what that's about. So I'm going to be looking that one up. Whiplash was just uncomfortable. I know it's one of Callum's favourites. It was a brilliant film. Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons just superb, but really, really uncomfortable viewing. From the 007 films I've seen, I say Quantum of Solace. 4, 3, 2, 1. From the 007 films I have seen, I say Quantum of Solace is my least favourite Bond movie, and oh yes, the Sam Smith film is the Sam. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Calm. Let me start that sentence again. From the 007 films I have seen, I say Quantum of Solace is my least favourite Bond movie, and yes, the Sam Smith theme is the worst Bond song indeed. Shockingly bad. We're back onto Sam Smith again. I can't stand the man. And I have to admit, when I heard he was going to be doing a Bond theme, I thought, oh no. I wasn't even overly familiar with him back then, but I just didn't think it'd work. And when I heard it, I thought, oh Jesus, what have you done? Fantastic video as ever, mate, and keep up the amazing work, Tone. Bring on next Saturday's blog. Much appreciated, Sam. Always good to hear from you, mate. Jason K, our Ginger Ninja. Morning, Jay. Good day, Tony. Don't know if this has been asked yet, but have you seen The Substance? Rave reviews and one of my top films of 2024. I have, believe it or not. Somebody recommended it to me. They also recommended that I keep the volume control to hand, because there are some pretty gnarly moments in it. I thought it was brilliantly well done. It was a superb movie. Demi Moore and Dennis Quaid were just brilliant. The story was so far out there, I could not believe what I was watching. And as for the visuals of the last, 20 minutes, Christ, that third act is just mental. I can't basically say that I've seen anything like that ever. Basically just amazingly well done. Absolutely superb movie. 2 hours and 20 minutes and it flew by. The story was completely original. I've not seen anything like that before. And as I say, the two leads were just Brilliant. So yeah, The Substance. I wouldn't say it was one of my films of the year last year, but it was certainly one of the most memorable. I mean, how could you possibly forget that? The only bit I seriously could not cope with was the straightening of the knee. Oh God, I could see what she was trying to do, and I thought this is going to go crack any minute. So I had to mute the sound on that. I have to confess I couldn't watch that. But yeah, The Substance, absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's an absolute Cronenbergian nightmare, but superb. So, do we say you were wearing a dark hoodie? No, you say I was wearing a black hoodie, which it wasn't. It was blue. But to hell with it. No, yeah, I would class the retro movie zone as a PC free zone, a woke free zone. You can say exactly what you like on here. I don't care. Um, and if there's anybody out there that is woke that's watching this, just unsubscribe if you don't like it. I, I can't be doing with pandering to these people anymore. So yeah, it wasn't a dark hoodie. It was a blue one. But if you want to call it black, you can do. King of New York is one of my favourite Christopher Walken films and my favourite Abel Ferrara film. I didn't realise he'd directed that. That draws me even closer to it. So we'll be looking up that one. More than welcome and happy to hear you got some new subscribers. Oh, that's when you promoted my channel. Yeah, much appreciated, mate. I've crept up to, I think it's 169 or 170. Now, I've got all year to get it up to 200, so I don't think it's going to be that um, difficult to do that. But as I said before, ideally people need to join the Facebook group first and see basically who I'm talking about and the kind of movies that we're talking about. Um, but yeah, much appreciated, mate, and thanks for throwing Goraphobe my way as well. Much appreciated. Highly recommend DaVinci Resolve for a free program. Yes, you could pay for it, but I haven't found a reason to. It is amazing, but it is usage intensive. It is usage intensive, which I presume it means. Oh, it says here PC processing power, etc. I mean, I'd only be using it once a week just to edit this, and I'm perfectly okay with Shotcut at the moment, but I will be having a bit of a play with DaVinci Resolve at some point. The Prestige and The Illusionist were the two magic movies out at the same time. I still need to watch The Illusionist. That was it. I think that's the one I've seen. The Prestige, then, I've probably not seen. If The Illusionist is the one with Edward Norton, I think that's the one that I've seen. Great vid, Tony. Thanks, Jay. Much appreciated, mate. Mark. Morning, Captain. Morning, Mark. Before we start, let's point out that I never thought I'd see Tony in a hoodie. Listening to this at work on my AirPods, so I was about halfway through and I took my phone out of my pocket and seen you wearing it. Was it that big a deal? You do the same as me. While I'm at work, I will have people's videos. As long as there's not too much visuals going off, I'll be listening to my AirPods. So yeah, you do the same as I do. Star Wars. I'm not a massive sci-fi fan, so up until about 6 years ago, I flat out refused to watch Star Wars. Then I had a week off work with not a whole lot to do, so thought, sod it, let's give it a try, see what the fuss is about. I ended up watching all of them that were out at the time, and yeah, I enjoyed them. I'm not a Star Wars fanatic by any means, but I would happily watch them all again. I love Star Wars, absolutely adore it. The original trilogy for me stands out as the best, but they're the ones that I grew up with. But I would like to take another look at the ones that came after, and obviously the ones that I've not seen. 310 to Yuma. I haven't seen the original. It's black and white, so no, I probably wouldn't watch it. I don't think it's your kind of thing. But I will definitely watch both versions of that, Mark, for sure. Prisoners is an absolutely marvellous film. Jason recommended this one to me, and it's brilliant. Get it watched. It's on the watch list. It's also one of Callum's favourites. The Magician film that came out at the same time as The Prestige is The Illusionist with Edward Norton. That is the one I've seen. That's the one I've seen, one with Edward Norton. So The Prestige I've not seen yet. So I need to watch that one. So let's see. Life on Mars update? Afraid not. We've not gone on to series 2 yet, but I will be doing. Just give me a little more time on that one. Great video, mate. Same time next week. Absolutely, Mark. He also messaged me his top 10 worst films. Here we go. Number 1, Godfather. 1, 2, and 3. One entry. Wow. Number 2, Donnie Darko. God, I saw this a long time back. That was a mind bender, wasn't it? I can't remember much about it apart from the rabbit, but I do remember coming to the end of it and thinking, bloody hell, what the hell was all that about? 3, Southland Tales. I have never heard of it, but I intend looking it up. 4, Planet of the Apes, 1968. You see, Callum, you're not the only one who can be controversial. Mark did not like the original Planet of the Apes at all. I absolutely adore it. Those original 5 movies between 1968 and about 1970, 72, 73, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Number 5, Street Fighter. I've never watched that. I'm guessing this is based on the computer game of the same name. Is this the one that Kylie Minogue was in? And maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme? I've heard of it, and I know of it, but I've never seen it. Number 6, Apocalypse Now. Here we go again. The quintessential Vietnam movie, probably next to Platoon, and Mark didn't like it. Number 7, No Holds Barred. Not familiar with that one either. I need to look that one up. Number 8, Twilight. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. One entry. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I saw the original Twilight and basically decided not to pursue the sequels. Number 9, Jason X. This is one of the few Friday the 13th movies that I've not seen all the way through, so I do need to get onto that. I do love the Friday the 13th movies. The original and the number 2 were the best. As for the rest, they did get increasingly worse, but I still find them immensely entertaining and still do. Number 10, The Happening. I think I've seen part of it. Is this the one where everybody's jumping off a building at the beginning? Mark Wahlberg? I've either seen it or I've seen a bit of it. I don't remember being overly impressed with it. So thanks for that, Mark. That's your top 10 worst films, despite it being Godfather, Planet of the Apes, Apocalypse Now. We pretty much agree on all of those. So thanks for that, Mark. Much appreciated, mate. Guy. Morning, Guy. Guy likes being controversial as well. Right then, didn't make notes today, couldn't be asked, so I'm going in bareback. What the fuck? Oh, where do you even start with that? Black pudding. I am apoplectic with rage over these snivelling little virgin crybabies getting pissy about every little thing. Maybe if they all got laid, they'd shut the fuck up. Black pudding is the food of the gods. Get in the fucking bin, you cunts. Well said. Absolutely well said. And I could tell that you were apoplectic with anger. Oh, God, Guy, I do love you. I've got to agree with Mark. We need a Life on Mars update, but you can't have one yet because I ain't watched it. Give me time, give me time. Question. What was the point of spending £20, a big piece of cash back then, to watch Star Wars on Super 8 in silence? Seems a waste of money to me. It was the only way we could do it. There was no VHS back then, or DVD or Blu-ray, anything like that. The only way you could watch a movie outside of the cinema was on Super 8, unless you were prepared to wait 5 or 6 years before it premiered on television. And even then you couldn't record it because there were no VHS about at the time. So it was literally all we had. And looking back on it now, yes, it probably was a waste of money, because if I'd have held on for a few years, I could have had it on VHS and then upgraded to DVD and then Blu-ray and 4K. So, but yeah, it was all we had, mate. So yes, it probably does seem like a waste of money, but when that's all you've got, you go for it. Glad you're jumping back into Doctor Who. It's been a while. I'm looking forward to getting back into it. I didn't watch an episode last week, but I will be doing the second I've finished this. I'm not sure. Here we go. I'm not sure I want a remake of Falling Down. The original is perfect. I do tend to agree with you on that. As much as we're toying with the idea of, which actor is going to sort of take over from Michael Douglas, I really don't want anybody to take over from Michael Douglas, because his performance in that was just perfect. Another great video. I know what you mean about it being hard work. I feel that way with Higgis sometimes. It is hard to get going, especially when you're coming up to mid-season break or end of season break. So I feel for you and I understand. Nice to see you in a different top for... Oh, excuse me. Nice to see you in a different top for once. Keep on trucking, matey. Thanks, Guy, for that memorable comment. It is hard some weekends. There are genuinely some Sundays that I get up and I think, do you know what, I really can't be bothered with this today. But I know you guys look forward to it, and I know that once I get started with it, I enjoy the hell out of it. But you do get times, as you say, when it's just not as easy as people think it is. As you've seen from the very first video that I ever did, which was about 3 or 4 minutes, I didn't think I'd get beyond that. And now here I am, 4 years later, 200 and something videos later, or is it 100 and something? No, it's more than that. Can't remember. But you just get to a point occasionally when you just think, do you know what, I could just blow this off this week because I just can't be bothered. And maybe those weeks are the weeks that I should do that, but I never do. Unless I'm ill or I'm working and I literally can't find the time to do it, I do just sort of brave it. So thanks for understanding, mate. I do feel bad when I miss a week. But as I say, when I get into it, I love it. I love the banter. I love reading the comments out. I love commenting on your comments. And I know that if I got to the end of a Sunday and hadn't done it, I'd be regretting it, which is what drives me on to keep it going. So thanks for that, Guy, and thanks for the thoughts on what did you put? Snivelling little virgin crybabies. Couldn't have put it better myself. Callie, morning, Callie. What have I got? 6 minutes, easy. Saturday morning Tony time with the flu. Hopefully I can make it to the end. Oh, get well soon, sweetheart. It's horrible, isn't it? Oh, Christopher Walken. What's The Prophecy? I love his performance in that one. I used to work with a lady who loved the Prophecy series. So yes, I will take that in. I've had the channel for about 4 years now, maybe a little bit too long, but for the first year I only posted figure reviews. It wasn't until I teamed up with Guy for Higgis that the channel started to become what it is now. It's good when you watch how you evolve over the years, what it starts out as and what it ends up being. I love all that. Work has slowed on the books at the moment due to having the dreaded flu, but I'm still hoping to publish soon. Let me know when that is. I might be thinking of the remake of The Jazz Singer there, hon. I can't remember what we were talking about there. You're going to have to remind me on that one. Barbarella in a double feature with Flash Gordon. Yes, please. That would make one hell of a double bill, especially on the big screen. I bet they look awesome in widescreen. I watched Alien Romulus yesterday. Bloody loved it. The visuals, the sound, the sets and the story are bloody amazing. I got it for 4K for Christmas, so we've not watched it yet. It needs to be on a Saturday night when we've got nothing else lined up, if you know what I mean. So I'm in no hurry to watch it, but I'm looking forward to it without a doubt. Time to curl up and rest till I feel better. As always, great episode on. Looking forward to the next one. Thanks, Callie, much appreciated. I did finally get round to watching the Higgis end of year review, which is basically where you look back at the highlights of the podcast over the last 12 months. My sincere apologies for the lack of comments just recently. As I explained the other week, I've been going through a bit of a weird time since before Christmas. Things are picking up now. I haven't commented on that video yet, so I thought I'd do it on here and then drop a little comment on a little bit later on the actual video. I dread to think who or what Septic Peg is, by the way, but apparently she's coming for me. That mince pie cookie cake sounds amazing, by the way. I would really love to try one of those. The Supernatural book. Your accent, what was that all about? Half of this and half of that. What was that? I listened to it and I went back on it and I thought, where's she from? Oz, maybe? Sons of Anarchy. You've never seen Sons of Anarchy. An awesome series. Not really my kind of thing, but somebody recommended it to me. And by the end of the first season, I was hooked. Absolutely hooked. About a biker gang. Similar to the Hells Angels. Just really, really worth watching. Just get it watched. Autocorrect. Oh God, autocorrect is a bleeding nightmare. I hate it. It never predicts. Right, and I've done the same as you. I've sent messages and looked at it sort of half an hour later and thought, oh, for Christ's sakes, how are they even going to understand that? So yeah, JK's comments. He was talking about the Walking Dead series, the latest one being rubbish. We used to love the original Walking Dead series, but I've got to confess, it got a little bit boring towards the end, didn't it? I think we went up to about season 7, and I think Rob said, "Do you know what? I can't be bothered with this anymore." And I said, "Do you know what? I've been waiting for you to say that because I can't be bothered with it either." And we just kind of dropped it. Mariah Carey, yes, she can fuck right off. You're absolutely right. Hopefully now we won't hear from her until next Christmas. Um, Superman teaser trailer. Really, really good. I'm really looking forward to watching that. Now, bear in mind, you're talking to somebody here that's only seen the Christopher Reeve movies. I've not seen any of the others. So, looking at that, I thought it looks like we're going back to basics. So, yes, I am looking forward to that. It looks brilliant. And What If sounds good as well. Um, I actually checked it out on Disney Plus. The episodes are only about half an hour, so I'm going to have a look at those. I'm not sure whether they're going to make much sense because I'm not a big superhero guy, but I will definitely give it a go. Guy, you watched Gavin and Stacey? Never seen a single episode. Will not watch it because I can't stand James Bleeding Corden. He just gets on my nerves. Arrogant, fat prick. Murder on Minder on the Orient Express. This is me being controversial now. I've never ever seen Minder. Don't know why. Never got round to it. I never felt the need to watch it. But I have to say, I saw a sort of a compilation on YouTube not too long back and thought, I wouldn't mind watching that because I love the Sweeney. Absolutely love Waterman and the Sweeney, but never seen Minder. So I'm going to try and get hold of a box set of Minder and crack on with those. A Hard Day's Night. Brilliant movie. Rose wasn't keen. Not surprising. It's like 50 years before her time. So it doesn't surprise me that she didn't like it. The Doctor Who Christmas special was meh. Of course it was. Do you know what? We're never going to get the old Doctor Who back as we knew it. And much as the new Doctor Who, I'm sure it lands right with the younger crowd, but it never will with me. I will watch them and I will probably enjoy them, but I will always go back to Tom Baker, John Pertwee, Patrick Troughton, all of those. That is my Doctor. Right, I'm going to take a quick break. I've got some more comments from Callie here, but I'm coming up to 30 minutes, so I'll be back in just a second. And we're back. Right, coming into the home stretch, guys. Just got a few more comments to read out. Callie, we'll carry on with Callie's. You were basically saying that watching X-Men 97 was one of the highlights of your year because it made you feel 11 years old again. I totally get that, which is why I watch programmes like Trumpton, Campbellwick Green, Ivor the Engine, sometimes Grange Hill. It just takes me back to a simpler time when basically nothing mattered. You weren't worried about any of the stuff that you're worried about now. Life was just so much easier back then. So yeah, I totally get that. Guy, you've watched and recommend a series called Trigger Point. Now we enjoyed Line of Duty mostly because of the lead lady. What's her name? She's from round here, isn't she? But she's in Trigger Point. So yes, we will be taking that in. It didn't look like our kind of series, but then again, neither did Line of Duty, and we thoroughly enjoyed that up until the last episode. So yes, we will be taking that in. I'm sorry that I've been let go as the Calico Crichton. Can I have my job back, please? I'm bored. I've got nothing to do. Callie, one of your highlights was finishing Supernatural. I've watched the first episode and really enjoyed it. Now, I believe if there are 15 seasons and there's 20 something in each one, that is a hell of a lot of viewing. please tell me that it's not another Lost if I'm going to embark on it, and it won't be to the extent that you've done it. I will not finish it within a year. I'll probably watch one episode a week or something like that, which will take me quite a while. But I don't want to get to the end of it and think, oh God, no, not another one that's left it on a cliffhanger. So just let me know whether it's actually worth me embarking on a supernatural sort of journey, because I would like to watch it. The first episode was great, really enjoyed it. And the boys, I've already watched the first episode of that and thought it was as graphic as hell, really nasty. I'm not sure whether I'm ready for that, but I will give the second episode a go at some point. I will need to go back and watch the first one again probably. But I know everybody raves about it, and that's up to season 5 now, isn't it? And Guy, that you were recommending a series called Baby Reindeer, which I've heard a lot about, and I keep meaning to take a look at. You described it as a very powerful piece of television. Now, I love stuff like that, so I will be taking that in. So, I mean, there were some good highlights there, and so there were some very personal moments that you shared with us, which I actually found very moving. Especially you, Callie. So you've been on one hell of a journey this year, one hell of a journey. You've come out the other side better than ever, a completely different person, literally. So we're all very proud of you. Guy most definitely is. So yeah, it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys back in February or whenever it is you're going to come back. But yeah, really enjoyed that episode. So right, thanks for that, Callie, much appreciated. Jason P. Morning, Jay. Great video as always. I've only watched one movie on Super 8mm. My uncle rented a projector, screen, and a movie from Glyn Williams in Bargates. Oh my God, I used to love going in there. I'd say about 1980. The movie was Jaws 2. I had that one. You must have rented it before I bought it. It cost me a pretty penny, I can tell you. Can't remember how much it cost now, but it was a lot of money back then. So yeah, super. I'm glad somebody's actually seen a Super 8 movie. Matrix is shite. I don't know whether it was shite. I just didn't get it. Black Phone you will love. You know you'll love it in 10 minutes in. Trust me. I do trust you on that. So I'm going to add that to this little stat, which I'll just show you very quickly. Your idea the other week of doing a watch list in a jar and writing the titles down on a piece of paper. I've actually opened a file on my desktop, movies of 2025, and every month I will add. It won't be 30 or 31 because that is completely unrealistic for me to be able to watch that many. I'm going to limit it to 20 a month, which I think that is just about doable. This is my first. Now this is January and February because I'm obviously been doing this last week. We're halfway through January already, but I think this is 15 of the 20. I'm not going to show you what they are. Well, you'll see 2 of them. But that's partly my watch list for this month of February, and I will be letting you in on what they are as I do it. And I'm going to do that every month. I'm going to keep a record of it, of what I'm watching on the desktop, and at the end of the year we will total it all up as to how many films I've watched. But believe me, I am going to watch a lot more movies than I have done in the past. I'm really going to up my game on this because I miss the thing of just sitting down and watching a film. And like I said before, I'm sick of hearing myself saying, I really want to watch this and I really want to see this, and I've not seen this and I've not seen that. I'm going to turn that around. You trust me on that one. I bet you still have the last 50 years worth of calendars still hanging up. I can just see it now. The 1985 Star Wars calendar up on December. I haven't actually. There are a couple of old ones, but not years old. Probably ones from before Christmas. But no, completely wrong on that one. Statham is great. Just don't take him seriously. Grew up in Buxton, I believe. Derbyshire born. Have a watch of Blitz. Really? I didn't know that. Local lad. Blitz. I've actually got that on Blu-ray, so I'll add that to this little stack. It's Unforgiven that you've not seen Unforgiven, but nothing surprises me anymore. It is definitely on the watch list after Sam brought it up. Was it this week or last week, I can't remember. How the hell do you see your TV screen with all those films you put by the TV to watch? That was that little picture you enclosed of basically 5 or 6 stacks of movies that were just horrendous. Yes, I'm in a sarcastic mood today. Toodle pip, toodle pip. You'll never seen it for this week. I didn't see this one coming. Cool Hand Luke from 1967. Synopsis: Luke Jackson is a cool, gutsy prisoner in a southern chain gang who, while refusing to buckle under to authority, keeps escaping and being recaptured. The prisoners admire Luke because, as Dragline explains it, you're an original, that's what you are. Nevertheless, the camp staff actively works to crush Luke until he finally breaks. Verdict: heard of this for years. I thought this was the original Colour of Money, but that was the sting. I think, now then, the original Colour of Money was The Hustler from 1961, I believe. I don't think there was an original of The Sting. Correct me if I'm wrong, I could be, but I'm fairly sure that the original Colour of Money was The Hustler. I didn't even bother looking what the film was actually about, but last month Roy was reviewing this movie, so I thought I'd give it a watch. I enjoyed this, that much so I ordered the DVD straight after viewing. Why not the Blu-ray, you ask? Well, the Blu-ray was £5 more and my DVD was only £2, brand new, sealed and still got its slipcase. I do get that. I've actually got Cool Hand Luke on Blu-ray. I bought it probably 6 months ago. Haven't watched it yet, obviously. But it is so good seeing you watching all of these sort of iconic movies from like the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. It warms my heart, Jace, really. I'm absolutely loving this and I really, really don't want it to end. I really, really don't. Please carry it on. I'd hate to think we've only got another sort of 11 months of this left because I'm loving this, absolutely loving this. And I would love to see more people doing a never seen thread. Callum, I get the feeling you could do well with this. It's a thread, in case you've not noticed, that we run called Never Seen It, where we just watch a film that we've literally never seen and then just do a little review of it. I reckon you could get quite a kick out of that, and I'd love to see the other guys doing it as well. And you put, so obviously I will be watching this again as soon as you bought the DVD. So that's a good enough recommendation for me. I will be adding that to probably March's watch list. So thanks for that, Jace, much appreciated, mate. I'm going to bring this to a close because we've gone just over an hour and I really, really want to try and keep these things under an hour if I can. Hope you've enjoyed the content, guys, for this week. Thanks ever so much for joining me as per usual. Have a brilliant week. I'll be back next week, God willing, at the same time. Anybody's got any questions for me or any movies they want me to take a look at, feel free to throw them at me. And top 10 worst movies, all of you, just message them over to me. I've done Callum's, I've done Mark's. So any of you that want your top 10 worst movies reading out, message them over to me and I will read them out over the coming week. So as I say, thanks ever so much for joining me. Have a brilliant week, folks, and I will talk to you all again, hopefully at the same time next week. Take care. Ta-da.